You're good.
Are we good?
Yep, you're in.
Okay, so we're live now.
Okay, good evening. This is for the public hearing pursuant to general municipal law. The agency is the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency, and the hearing purpose is proposed revisions to the uniform tax exemption policy. The hearing date today is May 12th, 2026. It is approximately 5:31 p.m. and we are located here at the Ulster County Office Building, Legislative Chambers, 6th floor, located at 244 Fair Street in the city of Kingston, Ulster County, New York. So good afternoon. My name is Michael Ham. I am the chairperson for the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency. I'm also the hearing officer for this public hearing to be held in connection with proposed revisions of the uniform tax exemption policy of the agency. At this time, can I ask everybody, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. So, where is the mission statement? So, the mission statement of the agency is as follows. The mission statement of the agency, the mission of the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency is to advance the job opportunities, general prosperity, and long-term economic vitality of Ulster County residents by targeting tax incentives, bonds, and other assistance to foster creation and attraction of new business and the retention and expansion of existing businesses. At this time, I'd like to introduce some of the guests, our staff. Hillary Nichols is our executive director. Ian Burns is our administrator. We have Shannon Wagner, who is agency counsel. We also have Stephen Kelly, who's a board member for the Ulster County IDA, and Trevor Kerwin is also with us. So today we're holding this public hearing to allow citizens to make a statement for the record relating to the proposed revisions of the policy. I would like to note, as required by New York State law, the agency is live streaming this public hearing. We have also made arrangements for a stenographer to be present in order to accurately make a record of the public comments received at this public hearing. Shannon Wagner of Hodgkin Russ LLP, counsel to the agency, will provide the information on the agency's legal authority to hold this public hearing, a description of the revisions, the purpose of this public hearing, and the agency's next steps. Once Shannon is finished, I will then open up the public hearing for comment. Shannon?
Thank you, Chair. The provisions of Chapter 1030 of the Laws of 1969 of New York, constituting Title I of Article 18-A of the General Municipal Law, Chapter 24 of the Consolidated Laws of New York as amended, and Chapter 787 of the 1976 Laws of the State of New York as amended, codified as Section 923 of said General Municipal Law, authorize the agency to promote, develop, encourage, and assist in the acquiring, constructing, reconstructing, improving, maintaining, equipping, and furnishing of manufacturing, warehousing, research, commercial, and industrial facilities, among others. Section 858 of the General Municipal Law further authorizes the agency to make certain appointments and improve certain administrative matters. Pursuant to Section 874 of the General Municipal Law, the agency has established the policy, which is applicable to the provision of any financial assistance to any project. The agency has undertaken a review of the policy and is considering certain revisions to provide for A, the modification of the criteria to be considered by the agency in connection with proposed housing projects, B, the addition of criteria to be considered by the agency in connection with proposed renewable energy projects, and the revision of the method by which the agency would calculate payments in lieu of taxes with respect to renewable energy projects, and C, certain other administrative changes. Pursuant to Section 874(4) of the General Municipal Law, the agency is required to solicit input from the affected tax jurisdictions regarding the adoption of a uniform tax exemption policy. Therefore, by resolutions adopted by the members of the agency on March 25th, 2026, and April 15th, 2026, collectively the public hearing resolution, the agency authorized the holding of this public hearing to solicit public input. Pursuant to the public hearing resolution, the executive director of the agency caused notice of this public hearing to be mailed on April 21st, 2026 to the chief executive officers of each affected tax jurisdiction, which list of affected tax jurisdictions will be inserted into the record of this public hearing. published on April 21st, April 28th, and May 5th, 2026 in the Daily Freeman, a newspaper of general circulation available to the residents of Ulster County, New York, and posted on April 20th, 2026 on the agency's website and on a public bulletin board located at the Ulster County Office Building, Legislative Chambers, 6th floor, located at 244 Fair Street in the city of Kingston, Ulster County, New York. A summary of the revisions were included in the letter mailed to the affected tax jurisdictions and were also made available on the agency's website. Copies of the notice of the public hearing and the revisions are available at the front of the room. The purpose of this public hearing is to solicit input with respect to the revisions. We are not here to solicit comments or questions related to the policy in general, payments in lieu of tax agreements, or real property tax abatements. Additionally, we are not here to answer questions, although in the course of the hearing we will consider questions if we have the information to answer the questions and there is sufficient time to do so. Now, unless there is any objection, I am going to suggest waiving the full reading of the notice of this public hearing and instead request that the full text of the notice be inserted into the record. The agency will consider the amendments to the policy at a subsequent meeting of the agency, currently scheduled for May 20th, 2026 at 9 a.m. And at such meeting, the agency will also consider the comments received at or prior to this public hearing and at or prior to such meeting. Such meeting, like all meetings of the agency, will be open to the public. The notice of this public hearing indicated that written comments could be addressed to Hillary Nichols, Executive Director. At this time, the agency has received some written comments with respect to the revisions. Such comments will be included in the record considered by the agency at the meeting currently scheduled for May 20th, 2026. We will keep the comment period open until the meeting currently scheduled for May 20th, 2026. Any comments received by such meeting will be considered by the agency. I will now return the floor to the chair for the purpose of recognizing any citizens in attendance wishing to make public comment.
Thank you, Shannon. So we will begin with remarks from any of the representatives of the affecting taxing jurisdictions, including the county, town, and school district officials. Is anybody here in that capacity? Is there anyone here in that capacity? Okay. I will now open this public hearing for public comment. It's approximately 5:38 p.m. By the way of operating rules, we ask each of you to sign in prior to the start of the public hearing and indicate whether you wish to make a comment on the revisions. I will begin by asking for comments from the sign-in sheet in order. If following in the order of the sign-in sheet, anyone still wishes to comment, please raise your hand and I will call on you. For all comments, please wait to be recognized. Once you're recognized, please stand, state your name and your address for the record. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes so that all present today may have a chance to comment for the record. If your comment mirrors someone else's thoughts who has already spoken, you may so indicate and then relinquish the podium to another speaker so that all views represented at this hearing may be heard. When everyone has the opportunity to speak, I will conclude this public hearing. A record of the public hearing will be prepared and reviewed by the members of the agency in connection with the agency's consideration of the proposed project. Again, the purpose of this public hearing is to solicit input with respect to the revisions as indicated by council. We are not here to solicit comments or questions regarding the policy in general, payment in lieu of tax agreements, or real property tax abatements. Additionally, we are not here to answer questions. Although in the course of the hearing, we will consider questions if we have the information to answer the questions and there is sufficient time to consider such questions. So I will start with the first speaker, and it is Tim Kelly.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Tim Kelly. I live in Hurley, and I'm commenting on the proposed revisions to the UCIDA Uniform Tax Exemption Policy concerning renewable energy projects. My concern is that this proposal appears to create a tax incentive pathway for battery energy storage systems without clearly saying so. The proposed renewables matrix does not merely refer to projects that generate renewable energy. It also refers to projects that store energy. The agency says it will consider the amount of energy to be generated or stored, and the matrix awards points to a project that generates or stores a minimum of 1 megawatt of renewable or clean energy. That language is broad enough for a battery energy storage developer to argue that a standalone BESS facility qualifies for a UCIDA financial assistance. If that is the intent, the policy should say so directly. If that is not the intent, the policy should be revised before you adopt it. Battery energy storage facilities are not the same as solar panels or wind turbines. They raise serious issues involving fire suppression, thermal runaway, hazardous materials, emergency response, decommissioning, site security, environmental review, and impacts on nearby homes and businesses. These projects also have dubious public benefits. They do not appear to create meaningful permanent jobs or broad economic development. The clearest beneficiary is the company building the project and profiting from siting a potentially dangerous industrial facility in our community. That is not enough to justify tax abatements, reduced revenue for local governments, or reduced revenue for school districts. At minimum, UCIDA should clarify whether standalone BESS facilities are eligible for pilot benefits, whether storage must be paired with renewable generation.
Excuse me, Tim.
Yes.
You're getting way off the track of what the public hearing is. You're talking about the project right now. That's not even, we're
Your
considering
draft also says that the agency may require a decommissioning fund or bond for energy storage facilities that should not be discretionary. It should be mandatory, fully funded, independently reviewed, and acceptable to the affecting taxing jurisdictions and emergency responders. As drafted, I feel that the language is too broad, too vague, and too favorable to developers seeking financial assistance without enough public scrutiny. I respectfully urge UCIDA to table the revisions, clarify the treatment of battery energy storage, and return with language that is direct, transparent, and protective of affected communities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next speaker is Valerie Stote.
Good evening, Chairman Ham and members of the Ulster County IDA. I'm going to speak rather quickly because I didn't time it and I don't know how long this is going to take. It's only 2 pages.
Okay.
I am a lifelong resident of Ulster County, and thus I have standing to make my concerns known to the IDA and about the revisions it proposes to make to the Uniform Tax-Exempt Policy and Matrix. With regard to the proposed amendment of Section 7C1 FI, that section states that renewable energy projects may include, but shall not be limited to, fuel cells which do not utilize a fossil fuel resource in the process of generating electricity. This type of open-ended language could allow battery energy storage systems to receive tax exemptions or pilot agreements, even if they do not obtain their electricity from a renewable source. Specifically, this type of open-ended language would allow the IDA to grant a pilot agreement to a battery energy storage system in Ulster County that receives electricity from fossil fuel sources. For example, Central Hudson purchases electricity from the New York Independent System Operator wholesale market, the majority of which is sourced from natural gas and dual fuel, which are both fossil fuel sources, but also sources electricity from its own operation of natural gas-fired and kerosene-fired power plants, for example, those located in Coxsackie and South Cairo, New York. This type of loophole would not further the state's goals of encouraging non-fossil fuel renewable electricity generation. The proposed amendments to the Uniform Tax Exemption Policy should be tightened to make it abundantly clear that an exemption or pilot should only be granted to a project that would be utilizing non-fossil fuel sources of renewable energy. The proposed revisions to the Uniform Tax Exemption Policy Section 7C1F III subsection D give the IDA, in its sole and absolute discretion, the ability to deny a pilot unless the applicable project applicant provides evidence that it has contributed to a decommissioning fund or provided a bond to the satisfaction of the applicable affected tax jurisdictions sufficient to remove the products installed in connection with such renewable energy project. This language needs to be tightened to provide for not merely the removal of the installed products, such as battery energy storage system pods, but also funds or bonds in an amount sufficient to conduct an environmental cleanup necessary to return the proposed site to the condition it was in prior to the project's construction, that is, land to its pristine condition. A project that seeks to insulate itself from its full tax burden should be required to shoulder all of the costs necessary to clean up when that project is no longer viable. The alternative is that the taxpayers of Ulster County would be left picking up the tab when such a project fails and leaves an environmental catastrophe behind. My final concern is with the matrix itself, could I be granted leave for, I'm on my last paragraph.
Yeah, keep
The
going.
matrix itself and the generation of points. Under the current matrix, for example, a project would earn 1 point if the projected new permanent full-time jobs created or retained was between 2 and 5. That language needs to be clarified to make it abundantly clear that those projected permanent full-time jobs created or retained should be jobs that are physically located within the boundaries of Ulster County and not remote jobs operated off-site via the internet. For example, remote monitoring of a battery energy storage system via closed-circuit TV or other methods, where the remote monitors are located outside of the boundaries of Ulster County, does nothing to promote job creation or retention in Ulster County. The matrix should be amended to provide that those jobs that are envisioned to be created must be jobs that are actually located within Ulster County in order to qualify for an exemption or pilot agreement. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next speaker. Is it last name Masbach? Masbach?
Dia.
I'm sorry, I can't read your first name here. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Did I get the last name right?
Close enough.
I'll take it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dia Mansbach and I reside in Saugerties. I am against including renewable energy in the Ulster County uniform tax exemption unless it is non-polluting, meaning really green, such as hydropower and geothermal, and unless there are also guaranteed savings for Ulster County residents. The 3 PR points that are being used to sell battery storage facilities, which I will focus on, are savings in energy costs, green energy, and new safety standards. Savings. We are already paying outrageous delivery charges, in some cases more than the actual electric charges. And the industry standard is for the user to pay the new infrastructure costs through delivery charges. NYSERDA says that with CLCPA, it will cost $4,000 additional a year for users of natural gas and oil. In the meantime, all of us, our basic expenses are rising beyond what many people can manage. And you want to give county tax breaks in addition to state tax breaks to foreign-owned corporations? Green. Mining lithium is polluting, energy extractive, causes land degradation and water contamination. Not to mention that the energy from battery storage facilities is purchased at the lowest possible price and sold at the highest possible price. And there is no guarantee as that it comes from or goes to green energy. Renewable does not equal green. And you want to give county tax breaks on top of state tax breaks for regular old electricity? Safety. The assertion is based on new, untested, and unproven fire standards. All it takes is one explosion, and our natural resources are toxic for our lifetimes and beyond. And you want to give these toxic, noisy facilities county tax breaks on top of state tax breaks? There are at least 5 proposed battery storage facilities in Ulster County without county tax breaks. Saugerties, 2 in Ulster, New Paltz, and Gardner. It seems that they feel there is sufficient profit in these to be made without county tax breaks. There's no benefit to local residents who are being asked to assume many risks in having toxic, noisy facilities in the middle of our towns and villages, while there are no clear benefits except perhaps to data centers and AI companies. It seems like the same old story, trickle-up economy, otherwise known as corporate welfare.
Thank you very much.
For the record, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker, last name Reese.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Reese, and I'm a resident of Saugerties. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight because this decision is about more than a single project. It is about the long-term direction of economic development and land use in Ulster County. No one disputes the importance of modernizing the electric grid or pursuing cleaner energy sources, but that does not mean every project automatically deserves public financial incentives through a pilot agreement. This agency has a responsibility to determine whether the public benefit justifies the public cost. Battery energy storage facilities often create relatively few permanent jobs after construction is complete, in this case, none. At the same time, these projects are frequently proposed in opportunistic locations, areas near existing transmission infrastructure or industrial access that may also represent some of the county's most strategically valuable land for future economic growth, housing, tourism, waterfront access, agriculture, or small business development. In the case of our town, the industrial area is within walking distance of high density residential areas, and that land use will be better used to create jobs for the local population and contribute to local economic growth, not that of international conglomerates. That raises an important long-term planning question. Are we placing major industrial energy infrastructure in locations that are merely convenient today, rather than identifying more appropriate remote or less sensitive locations that minimize conflict with existing communities and future economic development opportunities? Economic development policy should focus on creating durable local opportunity, not simply subsidizing projects because they fit within broader market or energy trends. There are also legitimate unresolved concerns involving fire safety, hazardous material response, environmental impacts, and long-term decommissioning responsibilities associated with large-scale lithium-ion battery storage systems. Those issues deserve careful review and full transparency before any incentives are granted. Most importantly, county residents deserve confidence that these decisions are being made openly, deliberately, and with the long-term interest of the local populations. Thank you.
Thank you. Um, is it Vassar? Vassar? Stephanie Vassar? Vassar. Thank you.
My name's Stephanie Bassler. I'm a resident of town of Saugerties. I'm also a member of the town council there. I'm here as a private citizen. I have done a fair amount of work supporting the town in its consideration of the best projects that my neighbors mentioned, but I'm not here representing any statement from the town, so I'm just trying to be clear that I'm bringing a consideration that comes from me alone. The proposed language states that a payment amount would be determined based on various factors, and then it lists the cost of the renewable energy project, the impact that the project has on the local community, information provided by the applicant, the Ulster County Real Property Tax Services Department, and information provided by the local assessor. And that leaves a lot open to the process for each particular project, which is probably appropriate, but sorry, the real property tax law of New York State already provides for an automatic pilot by the local jurisdiction unless the municipality opts out. And the terms of that pilot would be dependent on probably these same factors. What I'm noticing is that these pilots would be maybe offered as options for a developer, and that I would encourage the agency to establish more rigor and detail in how the projects are valued, and there are resources that NYSERDA is developing in their tax assessment expertise, and they could be a resource to the agency to define these parameters a little bit more clearly in the language that you're developing. So I could direct the agency to particular individuals if that was of interest offline or now. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's all I have that want to speak. Is there anybody else in the room that would like to speak? Come on.
My name is Eileen Ryan, and I am a concerned resident of Saugerties. In your introduction, you said that the one of the functions or the main goal for the IDA is to create job opportunities by attracting new business. So obviously, my concern is that BES is not going to justify that. The only thing I can think of is maybe the consideration of maybe this is a preparation for a future data center. Maybe that will create jobs. But even then, I think that those are not the jobs we want. I just wanted to ask if you can answer, are there minimum amounts to a pilot? Are the parameters ahead of time, minimum amounts of the dollar amount? I don't know if you can answer that or not.
No.
Okay, that's fine. And also the maximum term, the pilot.
Everything that you're requiring is on our website.
Okay, all right. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak? Okay, so if there are no more further comments, we'll now close the public hearing. It is approximately 5:59 p.m.